Marsau recently admitted something very telling during a scene on Love and Marriage, Huntsville. While he and Martell were going back and forth, Marsau revealed that over the seasons he purposely avoided speaking on Martell's dirt, especially his infidelity, because he said he would not want that kind of treatment done to him. That one statement opened the door to a lot of questions and conversations, because when a person says they don't speak on someone else's situation because they wouldn't want it thrown back at them, it often makes people wonder if there is something they are protecting on their own side. Marsau did not flat out confess to anything, but his choice of words gave a lot of fans and viewers something to think about. Instead of simply saying he wanted to respect his friend's privacy or that it was not his place to comment on Martell's cheating, he framed it in a way that made people wonder if he was leaving room for speculation about himself and his marriage to Tisha. In the scene, Marsau was speaking quickly, clearly filled with adrenaline. He was talking mostly about Martell, not directly to him, and the lack of eye contact showed just how tense the exchange was. He made it clear that Martell's behavior over the years had crossed lines, especially since Martell never hesitated to throw out personal digs about Marsau and Tisha. Viewers will remember the past situations where Martell made accusations about Tisha allegedly being with someone in the back of a vehicle, or hinted at other shady things in their marriage. So, Marsau deciding to throw in a jab about Ariane, known to fans as coleslaw, was him matching Martell's energy. When he joked about wanting some coleslaw on his hot dog, he admitted in his confessional that he was deliberately trying to get under Martell's skin. And Marsau also said it was easy to do, because Martell gets worked up very quickly. That moment shows the back and forth pattern in their friendship. On one hand, they had a bond strong enough to start a business together. On the other hand, the betrayal, accusations, and low blows have made it clear that their relationship is filled with tension. The business breakup itself became another point of argument. Martell tried to paint it like he was doing Marsau a favor because Marsau was struggling financially, even throwing in details about Marsau working as a movie theater manager and allegedly being jobless at the time. But Marsau countered that by listing all the real estate properties he already owned, making it clear that he wasn't dependent on Martell for survival. That argument showed how both men were trying to rewrite the past to make themselves look better. The core issue is that Martell got caught cheating and, instead of taking responsibility, started trying to drag everyone else down with him. Marsau pointed this out directly. He said Martell continues to make poor decisions and then blames others instead of owning his mistakes. Marsau went for Ariane, Martell's longtime mistress, while Martell hinted at things about Tisha. Neither of them held back, and the insults started flying. At one point, Marsau even admitted that now, whenever Martell says something about him, he will respond with something about Martell. He is no longer keeping quiet. That marks a shift in their dynamic. Before, Marsau stayed mostly silent when Martell threw shots, but now he is prepared to match that energy every single time. What makes all of this so layered is the fact that these men are not just co-stars on a reality show. They were once real friends, business partners, and family friends. Their wives were close, their kids spent time together, and they built their lives around the idea of successful black couples in Huntsville. To see all of that crumble into public mudslinging shows just how deep the betrayal runs. Martell's cheating didn't just end his marriage with Melody. It caused ripple effects that damaged his friendships too. Marsau's relationship with Tisha also plays a role here. Martell seemed to think that if he exposed enough, he could get Tisha to leave Marsau. He threw out accusations, hinted at affairs, and tried to make it seem like Marsau was no better than him. But Tisha stood by her husband and refused to let Martell's words break up her family. Whether or not there is any truth to the rumors, she made her choice to remain in her marriage, forgive if necessary, and ignore outside noise. That resilience frustrated Martell because it showed that his attempts to tear them down would not work. Another layer to this is how fans interpret Marsau's behavior. Some believe he talks too fast and avoids eye contact because he's hiding something. Others think that's just his natural way of speaking when he's worked up. Either way, his energy in that scene made it clear that he was ready to finally let out frustrations that had built up for years. He admitted that Martell always saw himself as being above him, but as Marsau started rising in success and Martell started falling, Martell couldn't handle it. That jealousy and ego clash became the fuel for their ongoing conflict. That it's also important to look at the bigger picture. In reality television, especially shows like Love and Marriage, Huntsville, personal lives are constantly exposed. Secrets don't stay hidden for long, and the audience thrives on drama. Marsau knew that making jokes or comments about Martell's cheating would only create more tension, so he tried to hold back. But Martell, who often plays the role of villain, didn't hesitate to put other people's business out there when it suited him. That double standard made Marsau's patience run out. The mention of Ariane, or coleslaw, was another reminder of how messy the situation is. The nickname itself came from fans mocking her role as the side chick. Marsau using that in a joke showed that he was willing to hit Martell where it hurt most. And because of that, Marsau feels like Martell has been using interviews, blogs, and other outlets to constantly put his name out there in a negative way. That is what pushed Marsau to finally start clapping back. He admitted that for a long time he avoided speaking on Martell's dirt because he wouldn't want it done to him, but now that Martell keeps poking at him, he is ready to fire back. That moment where Marsau admitted his reasoning is very interesting. It tells us that there was an unspoken agreement between the two men, almost like a silent pact, where Marsau would not talk about Martell's cheating because he didn't want Martell to talk about his personal life. It's like an understanding of, I'll protect you if you protect me. But Martell broke that agreement by dragging Marsau and Tisha into his drama. Once Martell accused Tisha of infidelity, the gloves came off, and Marsau no longer felt obligated to keep quiet. Fans who watched the early seasons will remember the infamous Busy Bee joke. During a limo ride to surprise Martell and Melody for their 10th anniversary, Marsau made a little joke, saying one of them had been really busy, Busy Bee. It was a playful jab about Martell's cheating, but later Martell told him he did not appreciate that. Marsau admitted he understood, apologized, and said he would never make a joke like that again because he wouldn't want that done to him. Now, while on the surface that sounds like a reasonable explanation, the exact wording raises eyebrows. Instead of saying he wanted to be respectful to his friend, he said he didn't want it done to him. That suggests he may have worried that Martell could throw accusations about him out in return. This choice of words created speculation among fans. Some think it was simply Marsau being cautious because he knows Martell has a sharp tongue and no problem airing dirty laundry. Others believe Marsau's words hinted that maybe he had his own skeletons and didn't want Martell to expose them. Either way, it was a very telling moment because it revealed how much strategy and caution goes into these friendships on the show. These men know each other's secrets, they know where the bodies are buried, and they know exactly what could be used against them in a heated moment. Martell, of course, did not let the conversation slide. He tried to shame Marsau by bringing up the movie theater job, as if that made him less successful or less of a man. But many viewers felt that was a weak attack, because working an honest job to support your family is nothing to be ashamed of. Marsau even pointed out that while he worked at the theater, he also owned multiple apartment complexes and properties, so clearly he was not struggling in the way Martell tried to suggest. That part of the argument also showed how Martell tends to use low blows instead of sticking to the truth. As the argument went on, both men started taking jabs at each other's marriages. But interestingly, Martell didn't react strongly in that moment. Perhaps it was because other men were around, and he didn't want to escalate into a physical fight. Or maybe he has grown somewhat numb to the constant reminders of Ariane. Either way, the lack of reaction stood out, considering how defensive Martell usually gets when her name is mentioned. When Marsau said he didn't want to speak on Martell's cheating because he wouldn't want that done to him, it also reminded viewers that reality stars are always aware of the cameras. He knew his words would be aired and dissected. Choosing that phrasing could have been a slip of honesty or a careful way to avoid lying outright. Either way, it added fuel to the rumors that have followed him and Tisha for years. By the end of the argument, it was clear that both men were tired but unwilling to fully back down. They both admitted in their own ways that respect had been lost. Martell felt like Marsau was always judging him. Marsau felt like Martell was always trying to drag him down. And even though they said they wanted respect going forward, neither seemed completely ready to let go of the back and forth. The reality is, Marsau's admission opened up a new chapter in the ongoing feud. Fans will now be paying even closer attention to his words, his actions, and how Martell responds. Will Martell try to pull out receipts to expose Marsau? Or will he finally drop it and focus on his own life? That remains to be seen. What is certain is that their friendship may never return to what it once was. The tension between Marsau and Martell is also a reminder of how fragile relationships can be when pride, ego, and secrets are involved. They once had a bond that could have lasted for decades, but betrayal and public shaming turned them into enemies. Marsau trying to explain his silence by saying he didn't want that treatment for himself might have been meant to sound noble, but instead it raised more questions than it answered. Fans will continue debating whether Marsau was simply trying to keep the peace or whether he unintentionally revealed more about himself than he wanted to. Either way, that one line, "I wouldn't want that done to me," will stick with viewers for a long time, because it says so much about the way people on this show protect themselves, choose their words carefully, and fight battles both on and off camera.